They're at $8 million budget shortfall. Well, I don't teach her anymore, so I don't care. Okay. There's that. We're on Instagram. Just post on Facebook and on X. All right, I think we're there. Let's see. Yep. Nope. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we're here. All right. All right. Good deal. All right. So we are here with Julie and getting ready to record tonight's show. So I see everybody over on Instagram. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. And everybody over on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and X. Hello to you as well. All right. So this is episode 2666. Monday is not a holiday, I don't think, of anything. No. Oh, I should probably get my phone. Get my phone here. Okay. My dad will probably call anyway because he can bust through because he's on the favorites, but nobody else can. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 2666 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and you are getting ready to have an even better work week. That's how you got to look at it, right? It is spring. And we all have to get back to work. I mean, that's just how it is. You know, my buddy Scotty G's wrapping up. It feels like a month in paradise out there in Hawaii as I have been having my lone breakfast burrito every morning as I do. I get up, I run, I get my shower, and then I, tackle the inbox right there at the kitchen table. My initial surge of emails right there with my lone with the James Dean breakfast burrito, and he's sitting on the beach looking out at Diamond Head for a while, the ocean, the Pacific, eating pink pancakes and all these beautiful, sausages and bacon. And I mean, just killing it. Eventually he's got to come home to the States, but everybody's in the States, but I mean, back to the mainland, I guess. And, but he's been living his best life and I've been enjoying it. But you know what? All of us that are kind of getting back, post spring break trips, it's okay. Summer's around the corner. So let's make it a great week, even if we're heading into work, because we're going to do that with a fun trip report, 2 weeks worth of Disney adventures from across the pond and a hurricane to throw into the mix as well. We got a lot to talk about. And it's our friend from over in the clubhouse, Julie from Scotland. Julie, thanks for staying up late with us today. We appreciate you so much. What's going on?
Nothing much. Yeah, just hanging out a bit later than I normally would, but I don't mind.
I love your accent, by the way. I know I don't have one, but
you have to tell me if I'm talking too quickly.
It's totally fine. It's wonderful. So, again, appreciate you staying up late for us. So, just tell us about this time of year over in Scotland. What's the climate like this? The weather like this time of year?
Do you know what? We've had such nice weather for the last couple of weeks, which is pretty unusual in Scotland. Usually cold, rain for most of the year. That's not true. We usually get a bit of a summer. But yeah, when I say nice, that probably isn't your version of nice. We're probably in the super low 50s at the moment, but it's sunny and it's not snowing, it's not raining, so I'll take it.
Yeah, where I am here, we're in this transitional period, right? Where you get like an 85-degree day and you're like, yeah, get 2 or 3 days of that. And you're like, yes, it's going to be summer. And I drive a Jeep, right? So I want to pull the top off and take the doors off, and ride around in flip-flops. And then the next day it snows, so it's a fake summer. It's a transitional period. We don't know where it's going to be. So it gives you that taste though. And I think a lot of us, I don't know if this is true for you, because you guys don't get to come over as much, but for me, and I think a lot of our listeners that are here in the States, when you get that warmer weather, I think it gets us more amped up to think about our next Disney trip. There's something about warm weather, especially if you're from a colder climate in the States. Man, like as soon as spring hits, I get the Disney traveling bug even worse. Is that true for you guys? Like when summer comes around, do you want to travel more to the Disney destinations, or is it just because of the distance? It's
Yeah,
more
I
different.
think definitely when it starts to get towards summer, you start to get those summer vibes, don't you? You want to have a trip booked, you want to get away. We never really get the summers that you get, so so we kind of always want to get away. That's not true. Scotland's beautiful. Come to Scotland.
Oh, my oldest daughter Paige studied abroad in Ireland, and she
In
loved
Ireland,
it
yeah.
over in Galloway, and yeah, she said she had a great time over there with her semester over there. So it was just really stressful on her mom and I, because we had no idea what she was doing. We just saw her on Find My Friends, on Saturday nights, or like she's probably at a bar with some. It's like, dude, she's on another continent. It's like, and the time difference, it was a wild time. Anyway, so let's get back. So tell us about being a Disney fan in Scotland, because of course here in the States, Disney's a part of the American culture. It's just a pop culture that we've grown up with. What is it like? I mean, are there other Disney fans at work, or is it on TV or radio? Like, what is Disney's presence in Scotland?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you've spoken to other people from the UK, it's similar to them. It is here, it is part of the culture, the movies, the characters, all that kind of stuff. But just the visiting the parks isn't as big of a thing. A lot of people go to Disneyland Paris, so yeah, that's more of a thing. But I don't think that sparks obsession the way that Walt Disney World does. So yeah, it's not talked about as much. And I think a lot of people here, they make that once in a lifetime trip to Walt Disney World, and maybe they get the bug, and they try to go back, but it's definitely it's not an every year thing. It's not even an every other year thing for most people, but we seek each other out. We find each other.
Right. And I think that's what's so cool about this age that we're in. And I mean, we started the podcast back in 2008, but even a little bit before that, when message boards started, becoming a presence, like in the early 2000s, bulletin boards, like back in the Disboards era, when they were kind of the big thing. That's kind of when I got in, like 2003, 2004. You could post messages and find, what, I'm not the only one in St. Louis, in my town that's like a big Disney fan. Somebody else is actually checking out that book at the library, because back then there wasn't social media. And so you couldn't connect. You thought you were the lone person that cared about, the different hotels at Walt Disney World. And you find out there are other people like us. But now this explosion with, social media and connecting around the world, it's been awesome. And right here, this is a prime example. I'm in the dead center of the United States, getting to talk to my friend here in Scotland. Huge time to, geographical distance. You're staying up in the middle of the night. I appreciate that so much. And it's amazing. It's get the Sherman Brothers song, It's a Small World. I mean, we're living it literally because of the Disney fandom. Now, you mentioned kind of going to Walt Disney World, how it is, very special. What was your first, connection to going over and got you to where it's more than just a vacation or a theme park?
Yeah.
What was that first, like, oh man, I want to, like, I'm obsessed with this. I love it. What was that?
Well, I've kind of grown up with it. I'm really lucky to have grown up with it. I actually made my first trip to Disneyland when I was 1 year old.
Oh
So
God.
my parents, my parents.
It's like 47 and it's,
Well, it was my one and only trip. I haven't been back. So my parents lived in Raleigh, North Carolina for about a year and a half when I was a baby. And they did a lot of traveling around the States. So it really frustrates me because my mum always says, you've been there, but I don't remember because I was like a year old. So I've been to Hawaii, I've seen Niagara Falls, I've been to Disneyland, but I don't remember any of it. But they took that kind of trip and brought it home with them. So they were very into Disney when we were growing up. We were lucky to have really good friends in North Carolina that we used to visit a lot, and we would drive down to Florida and we would stay in Orlando for part of the trip while we were visiting them. My husband grew up and was lucky enough to go a couple of times as well. And then when we got together, we were like, right, let's do this. So we made a trip with my dad and my brother. Then we had our honeymoon there a couple of years later. Then we had like the obligatory 10-year gap where we were trying to establish careers, a family, having babies. We had no money.
It's like, it's not that we want to, it's that life, you go broke after you get married, right? It's
100%,
like, it's like you longingly look at everything in life and say, I would still like to do that, but we just got married and we don't have any money.
Yeah. So we took our first family trip in 2019. And that was it. So we've been every year since then, apart from we had a 2-year sort of enforced COVID break. But apart from that, we've managed to make a trip every year. So that's where all the money goes now.
You gotta tell me exactly. That's why I do what I do, man. It's like it's just like it's a never ending cycle in my life. It's like I have all these beautiful medals hanging on the wall out there by the new pool table I got for my Christmas present, but I don't even want to think about what all those medals have cost me between like just the Run Disney entry fees. I mean, oh my gosh! But then I had to pay for a hotel and fly. Oh, stop! I can't stop.
They're worth their weight in memories, Mike.
Let's go with that. Yes. The fact that it takes me 10 minutes to go up the flight of stairs at this point in my life, just get upstairs after I get off the treadmill every morning. Let's go with that too. Real quick, your honeymoon though. Do you have any great memories from that at Walt Disney World? Where'd you guys stay, and was that awesome?
We did it like real amateurs back in the day. This was in 2009. So we didn't have a clue of what we were doing. So we didn't stay on site. We stayed off site. We didn't even know that staying on site was a thing, to be honest.
Yes, I love that though.
So we stayed off site. We just sort of fumbled our way around the parks, getting all the fast passes that we could, running from ride to ride to pick them up. We had a fabulous time. We planned actually to stay for a week in Walt Disney World and then travel a bit. We thought, we'll go to the Florida Keys, we'll see the rest of the state. Nah. we stayed in Walt Disney World for the full 2 weeks. We had a great time, and it obviously sparked something because that's it now.
No, but that's it. I mean, we've all been there, right? I mean, you go there and you think, it's just the first trip's like, oh my gosh, it's Six Flags, it's an amusement park, blah blah blah, and then oh no, but now we're all kind of sitting in like our thrones, like we did every single thing wrong on that first. Exactly. But we're all we're all huge Disney fans. Like we didn't do everything wrong. We just did it differently. We did it as rookies, and now we've kind of leveled up to our fandom and how we do things. I think you have to go progress through those levels of your Disney vacations.
And I think that's why probably a lot of people from the UK, they're one and done, because they don't know to do the homework. They don't know to do the work up front. So when they get there, it's a bit of a shock to the system, and they maybe don't always have the best experience. So I always say when you come from the UK, you either fall in love and that's it, you're suckered in for life, or it's a one and done, or it's a couple of times and done.
Well, a lot of other people come from the UK, obviously, do the long vacations because you come from quite a distance. But a lot of them will stay. A lot of our friends from the UK will stay in like houses, like they'll rent condos and houses with multiple bedrooms. What would you say to that? Because I won't talk about your trip, but I mean, because I'm an on-site guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even when I take my daughter's cheerleaders down, we'd stay at one of the Disney Springs hotels, like one of the Holiday Inn or the B or something. And I hated it because I wasn't on site. Like I'd rather stay at All Star Sports because that's why I'm there. I just want to be in the Disney bubble. And, I don't know if even the houses, because they're luxurious, they have their own pools. I get it. They have all kinds of space, video games, but I don't care. I'd rather have a small hotel room on site than a big house. That's just me.
We did that actually in 2023. We took my mother-in-law with us, and we decided, just because we had one extra person, we were going to have to look at either sort of 5th sleeper rooms, which would have been pretty tight for 2 weeks, or getting an extra room, which was going to be quite expensive. So we stayed in a home off-site for that trip, and we had a great time. But it was a slightly slower trip anyway because my mother-in-law was with us, so we didn't go quite as hard as we maybe would if we were staying on site. So it was great. We had a great time. But the next year we were straight back on site.
Honestly, we just had kind of a different vibe. And I'll tell you what, it was a different vibe. The one time that before a cruise, we stayed with Scott's family. We split a 2-bedroom villa at Old Key West, and it was so big. We had a patio, we had a kitchen, and we made cookies. We stayed in the villa a lot. We didn't go to the theme parks as much, so it's kind of the same thing. It slowed us down. But let's talk about your trip, because we got to get into this and talk about this. You were there for 2 weeks. Back this summer. So how did this trip come together again? With like the timing and all that stuff for the summer of last summer when you came.
So summer tends to be when we can make trips work, just with school holidays and work holidays and things like that. So tends to be summer. We'd had Caribbean Beach booked twice for 2020 and 2021, both of which were cancelled. So this was kind of us getting back on site after our 2023 trip with my mother-in-law when we were off site. So we booked Caribbean Beach, and then by pure podcast influence, we then decided to do a split stay and have 7 nights at Caribbean Beach and 7 nights at Coronado Springs. We'd never stayed there before. We're trying to slowly work our way around all of the resorts. So yeah, we decided we would try Coronado as well. We like a split stay. I think because we've got those 14 nights to play with, it makes sense to try different resorts. So we usually do 1 week in one place and 1 week in another. So yeah.
So your crew is yourself, your husband, and your 2 boys that are 11 and 8. So you got a family of 4. So that kind of is for 2 weeks now. So real quick, so before we jump into the 2 hotels, I want to get your thoughts, kind of compare and contrast the 2, because I think it's a good, to have a discussion there, because they're both moderates, and we get this question a lot. Like I get this as a travel agent, right? Like Caribbean Beach, Coronado Springs, what should I pick? I'm like, you can't go wrong with either. You got Skyliner on one, you got more of a deluxe feel on the other. You got to pick. I'm not doing it. Don't put me in that corner. It's up to you.
Yeah.
From now on, I'll be like, just do like Julie, come for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
That's what I'll tell everybody. But so I mean, coming over, do you have any tips for like the distance you traveled? I mean, 9-hour flight coming over from Glasgow. I mean, any like for international travelers or anybody that's coming from a great distance, what have you learned that could help anybody that's coming from a great distance like this? Because 2.5 hours, man, I'm like locked up on Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can find a flight that leaves early your time, it means that by the time you get to the States, you're not actually losing that much time. You're getting in sort of late afternoon or something like that, which works pretty well for us. We can sort of try and push ourselves to stay up and then pretty quickly get into the right time zone. Riding that jet lag is so important. I think we road dropped the first 4 days of our trip, and it was no problem because we were awake at 4:30, 5 a.m, ready to go, dress, magic bands on, let's do this. So yeah, I think we're lucky that we get a direct flight, so we can fly directly from Glasgow to Florida, although actually to Melbourne Airport, which is, I guess, a bit of a different airport to fly into. We really like it because it's small, it's super efficient, we're in and out really quickly. Yes, we have a bit of a drive on the other end, but it's no further than if we had to drive to a bigger airport here, like Manchester, or if we had to make our way to London. So kind of evens out. So yeah, the trip's no problem. We're used to it, and our kids are good travelers, so we're lucky.
That's a good tip, though, to look at alternate airports besides MCO. Yeah. I never thought about Melbourne, because people always talk about Sanford. Sometimes, again, but you got to watch it, because sometimes Sanford won't have the transportation options to get to that you will get out of Orlando International. So
most UK travel operators will run coaches, like buses, from whatever airport you arrive into to your resort, and that's true at Melbourne. If you're coming from the UK, certainly we always go for a private transfer just because it's easier and quicker. So it's about 1 hour and 15 minutes, something like that. It's not too long.
It's on the Space Coast, right? Melbourne's down just a little bit south of Cocoa Beach. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep, cool. Okay, so let's dive into this. Okay, Caribbean Beach and Coronado Springs. Let's kind of talk about them together. And get the families, the boys and your husband's thoughts too overall. Obviously, our podcast audience is very comfortable with both resorts. What was your overall vibe on both of them? Was there a favorite?
We loved them both, and we will definitely stay at both again. I think the boys would probably pick Caribbean Beach. They loved the theming of the pool. They liked the grounds. They liked Banana Cabana. They liked the resort itself, I would say. I think the rooms at Caribbean Beach are probably due for a bit of an upgrade, maybe, but I didn't have a problem with them at all. They were really comfortable, really clean, nicely themed. But when we then moved to Coronado Springs and we stayed in the tower, we're a little bit bougie for this trip and stayed in the tower. The rooms in the tower at Coronado Springs are fabulous. We stayed in deluxes a couple of times, and I felt like it rivaled those deluxes hands down, and the rooms certainly. The resort itself at Coronado Springs, I just loved it. It's so beautiful. Walking around at night is just so pretty, but I think the boys maybe found it a bit more grown up. They still loved it, don't get me wrong, and they're not spoiled at all. They truly appreciated that they were there and loved the pool as well, but I think they would probably pick Caribbean Beach over Coronado Springs, but we all loved both. We had a great time.
Do you guys have any problems with the switch day? Like when you went from one resort to the other,
Not at
did
all,
you let them
no.
move your luggage for you and that?
Yeah,
Because
Disney did it all for us, and we've done that a couple of times before, and it's always worked really well. We went to Disney Springs on our changeover day, so we didn't need much with us. We didn't need to worry about day bags or swimming things or anything like that. So we just left it all to Disney, and it worked great. By the time we got to Coronado at, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, everything was there and ready, and yeah, worked like a charm.
nice. Okay, so now let's talk about time in the theme parks. Your kids are 11 and 8.
Yeah.
And you guys were there for 2 weeks. So now that's really foreign to a lot of our listeners to be there for such a great amount of time, right? Because that's going to determine, you don't have to go at breakneck pace. A lot of I'd say the average time that most of our guests go down, 5 nights maybe, is probably a good average. Some people go for a week, some people go for like long weekends, but 5-6 nights is probably a good length trip. You guys are there for 14. So how do you kind of strategize even in because again, you're in the clubhouse, we see you giving advice to people all the time. How do you kind of lay out your plan of attack for how you're going to see the theme parks? You talked about one of your hot tips is like to use the water parks as well.
Yeah.
Like what was your strategy and how did it kind of come together? Because you had that wrinkle with the hurricane too.
Well, you would think that you don't have to go hard when you're there for 14 days. You would think. My kids like to go hard. And so do we.
I remember when I was 11. Yeah, it was just like all the time. 20.
No, do you know what? This trip, I feel, was slightly different to our other trips because we did step back a little bit and relax a little bit. We tend to, we just go all the time, but we did chill out a bit more this time, especially right in the middle of the trip. We went hard for the first 4 days. Like I say, we were awake, we were up, we were ready to go. So we were rope dropper extraordinaire for like 4 days. We did the 4 main parks in the first 4 days and we went pretty hard, but by afternoon we were back in the resorts. We spent evenings at the pool. We had some nice meals. Our evenings were slow, but our days were busy, I guess. And then right in the middle of the trip, we had a few kind of down days. So we had a couple of pool days. We went to Typhoon Lagoon. That's my youngest's favourite park out of everything. He loves it. So we had a really good day.
Shout out to your youngest because I love Typhoon. I mean,
he loves it.
Better than Blizzard Beach. It's more chill. It's
yeah.
And that water and the wave pool. I think it'll kill it. You gotta be careful.
I mean, to be honest, if we turned up and all there was the wave pool, he would be happy. That's kind of
I like him. I like him. Thanks. That's cool.
And we had our Disney Springs day where we changed resorts. So yeah, we had the 3-4 days in the middle that were pretty slow and chill. And actually, we didn't go into the parks that much on those days. I think we spent an evening in Magic Kingdom, and that was kind of it on those days. And then either side, we went a bit harder in the parks. But yeah, we're so lucky to have that long period of time because it means that we don't have to fit in everything on every day. If we miss something, that's fine. We can do it another day. I think one of the biggest mistakes we've made in previous trips is planning everything to a T and then sticking to that plan at all costs, no matter who's miserable and who's tired and who's done or how hard it's raining. And I think we've learned not to do that now. We had a couple of fails on this trip where we tried to stick to the plan and it just didn't work. But I think for the most part, we were able to step back a bit and have the room to do what we wanted to do, but not kill ourselves trying to do it.
Yeah, I think the danger with that would be, with 14 days to like the plan, like you mentioned, to be worried that I'd be worried, like, where do I plan not, because with 14 days, you can say, I don't even need a plan, right? Because I have so much time. Time is so plentiful. We can just go at our, we can just make stuff up the whole time. But I mean,
no.
You need
I have a plan.
All of us are right there. Like, Mike, shut up, everybody. We do the other, 355 days of the year. We plan, and I get it. That's what we do. But yeah, but you're right. I mean, with that, even if your trip's only for 4 nights, right? You have to use the plan as like your outline. Right. And if you got to skip a little subheading here or there and modify and move things around and say, you know what, we're going to move this to tomorrow. And maybe this doesn't happen this trip, it's going to happen next time. Or, maybe the opportunity's knocking. Let's put this in here instead of something else.
Yeah.
A lot of times those are the best parts of the vacation.
And I think the plan, and I've heard people say this on the podcast before, the plan makes the trip so much easier. And a lot of people say to us, oh, you're going to Disney again. Oh, it sounds like so much work. All the planning, all the ADRs, all the park reservations. I know we don't have to worry about that anymore, but yes, it is quite a lot of work beforehand. I like the work beforehand because I'm that type of person, but it means that once you get there, you don't have to have those discussions every day. What are we going to do today? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? When are we going to go there? When are we going to do something else? You don't have to worry about any of that because the plan's there. All you have to do is follow it. And like you say, if something doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. So I like a plan, but I think having a bit of flexibility within the plan is really important.
Well, for those of us too, I mean, it makes the trip way longer, right? Because the trip goes by lickety split. But if you got, the 6 months to plan the trip, it makes the whole overall experience last 6 months and a week, instead of just a week for the vacation. That's kind of how I see it makes the whole overall experience longer and more fun. Okay. So when you were in the parks, you guys talk about like how you went around, like what were some of the highlights for the kids, for yourself, like attraction shows? How'd you guys use Lightning Lane? Cause you're there for so long. Talk about some fun times in the parks.
So we did use Lightning Lanes quite a few times actually, which sounds silly because we've got 14 days. Why would we need to do that? But I feel like, I don't know what the US equivalent of this phrase is, but I'm very much in for a penny, in for a pound. We've spent all this money.
I hear you.
Yeah. We might as well make this as easy as possible for ourselves. So yeah, we used it pretty strategically, but we did use it on certain days. And actually the new system with the multi-pass and the single pass or whatever you call it came into play the day before we left. So there was a bit of a steep learning curve just to relearn what to do. But it worked great. And yeah, it is an extra expense, but for me, we've already come this far. Let's just go a little bit further and make life easy. So, and it means that it means that you can be flexible. If you miss a ride, doesn't matter because you can catch up on it another day. If you can't fit it in one day, another day, maybe you buy a pass for it and you do it then. But yeah, we did it sort of sparingly, but hopefully in a sensible way. Highlights for the kids is always a real balance between, we always laugh that we've got our favourite ride and then we've got our spiritual favourite ride. So like a favourite ride would be, I don't know, Flight of Passage or Guardians because they're sort of big and flashy and exciting. But my spiritual favourite ride would be Pirates of the Caribbean because that's an OG. So yeah, we're big Disney fans and we like all the detail, we like all the Imagineering, we like all the old school things. So yes, Guardians and Flight of Passage and Rise of the Resistance are big highlights, but we also like Small Worlds and we like Haunted Mansion and we love Pirates and Spaceship Earth.
Raising them right. Now, let me ask you this, though, because your kids are 11 and 8. How much input do you let them have like throughout the vacation as far as guiding the day, guiding what's going on? I mean, because it sounds like they're good travelers and they've been there a few times now. They know what's going on. Right?
Yeah, a lot. And they do, bless them, they do their homework before they go. They watch all the videos. They listen to podcasts with us. They know what's what. So, they have tons of input. And again, because we've got that luxury of time, we can afford to go, let's do that and park hop and go and do what it is they want to do. We did fall foul of that once though, because my little one really, really likes thrill rides. Anything that's roller coaster throws him about. He loves, and he loves Everest. And we'd been on it once, but he really wanted to go on it again. And it's so silly because we had 14 days, but time was ticking on and it was getting to the last few days and we hadn't done it again. So there was like our second last day and we just tried to do too much. We were in Epcot. We went to Steakhouse 71 for a meal. We wanted to see fireworks. He wanted to go on Everest. So we made a trip to Animal Kingdom just to do that. And it just all fell apart. But
those are always going to be the best stories. Like, 6 months later, like when you're back home and it's freezing cold and you're like, remember that day where we just like were toast, but we had to go ride Everest for you.
Yes, I know we've got the photo to prove it that we did. The misery was worth it for the photo of his shining face ready to go on Everest.
We have so many of those at like Thanksgiving and Christmas around here, remember that day we were all so tired, but we all marched back to, Kilimanjaro safaris because you had to see a giraffe before we went back home. It's so good.
Yeah,
now, With theme parks too, in your notes, and I want to ask you about this too. You again, kind of the in for a penny, in for a pound philosophy, which I agree with. Right, you've come a great distance at a great expense. You're here, you've already paid 98%. If 2% is going to make a big difference in the quality of the whole overall experience of your vacation, dessert parties. Now you said you enjoy those because again, it's a kind of a quality of life experience.
Yes.
It's way better to kind of have the space, have a little deluxe feel there to see the fireworks. So you're in for those too, right?
Yeah, definitely. And do you know what? It is for the actual experience of watching the fireworks, and the desserts are great too. But it's more the before and the after that I really enjoy. And don't get me wrong, we join the masses on Main Street as well. We usually make a point of doing both. So we'll do the dessert party one night, and then on another night we'll stand halfway up Main Street and we'll watch it from there just to get the different perspectives. But the dessert party, I just like that before it, you can go into that little area, you can sit on the lawn, the kids are running about, they play with other kids, they get chatting to people. We'll strike up conversation with people that are sitting on the lawn next to us. We're not like elbow to elbow or armpit to armpit with someone else. And then afterwards, once fireworks are done, again, you can sit, you can chill, you can talk about how good the show was without getting caught in that crush of humanity trying to get out of the park. So yes, it is a bit of a treat and a bit of a splurge, but we really enjoy the dessert parties, really enjoy them.
You're like Pam Forrester. She's all in on
Yes.
those. And I'm in for them when she pays for them because the one I went to,
Pam and I are on the same wavelength with dessert parties and lounges.
she treated the travel agents to one night. I was like, I really like this dessert party when Pam Forrester's taking care of us. That was really sweet of her. A couple other things, because you gave me some notes, and I love these notes when I read them because I'm like, God, I haven't thought about that in a long time, but it's one of my favorite things. I don't think we've ever maybe not mentioned it here in a decade is over to Animal Kingdom. And again, you guys were riding, and this is what Scotty G's been riding here for the last few days out in Hawaii, right? Because he's from the Eastern time zone, way out in Hawaii. He's up because I see him on Five My Friends. He's up like at 5 o'clock in the morning in Hawaii because of that time difference. He'll be hurting when he comes home, but that'll be funny. But you guys rope dropping, I guess, is rather easy initially because again, you got that time difference thing going on. So you're rope dropping these parks, but the Feather Friends flight thing at Animal Kingdom, right? You're mentioning those birds at the Tree of Life, right? They come swooping in.
Yeah. No, it's round near on the way to Everest. It's the little theater that you can go into, and there's a whole show there.
Oh, okay. So okay. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking about. Okay,
I know what you mean, and that's cool too.
You see, okay, that show amazes. Okay, the one I'm talking about just blows me away because those birds are so well trained, and maybe they're the same. They got to have some of the same birds, right? I mean,
I'm sure.
I mean, come on, there's only so many birds that go around well trained, but those birds that come in like when the park opens by the Tree of Life, they come swooping in like the toucans or whatever they are, the big red birds. I told my wife, I'm like, 50-50 those things are drones because they're so well trained. They do your thing, they sit down, they go away. I'm like, there's no way they could train them that well. But okay, so you enjoyed the show, and I've seen that show too in the theater.
Yeah.
With those, oh my gosh, we haven't talked about that in a while. So that was
so cool. And this trip was the first time we'd ever seen that show. So it just shows you every trip you go on, there's always something else to do, something else to see. And it was the first time we'd done that, and I think we usually avoid it because it's so hot, because again, we're always there in July or August, and it's outdoors, but actually once you get inside, it's pretty cool. There's fans and it's a chance to sit in the shade for 20 minutes or however long the show is. So yeah, we really enjoyed it. We loved it.
Nice. And you also at Disney Springs, I want to bring this up because we never talk about the Lego store at Disney Springs. I mean, you got kids who are 11 and 8 boys.
Yes.
I mean, I see lines to get in that place, but I mean that's like prime age for your kids. Love going in there.
We love Lego in this house, so
I'm glad we've never had any for a long time, and I'm glad because I don't want to step on them because I have stepped on them and they're not good. But
yeah, I don't get a chance to step on them because the sets are built and on display before I can make that mistake. So, but yeah, the Lego store is really cool, and they have a build your own minifigure station in there, but you can customize it, so you can like choose the shirt that it wears, you can put writing on its shirt, you can design lots of different things on a iPad essentially, and then it spits out your little figures. So the boys really liked doing that. It's a nice sort of memento from the trip.
I'll have to make a Ricky minifig for doing a podcast or something. It'd be kind of cool. It'd be a one of one. Okay, so you guys did some awesome dining. I want to jump into this now that I did have dinner tonight, so I'm good here. So I'll be starving because you guys killed it. So you have a list here of some of my favorite. I mean, Maya Grill. You just put, what can I say? I mean, we don't do. I don't know if we even have to say much. You're right. I mean, it's right there at Coronado Springs. You were staying there. It's got the smooth jazz guy playing it live right there. It's got fajitas. It's got chips and guac. I mean,
it was great. We absolutely loved it. And again, we'd never been to Maya Grill before. We'd never been to Coronado before. So we definitely took advantage while we were there. And we had to get a picture with smooth jazz guy to send the Discord. So we did all the things and we loved it. The food was amazing. And it's just a nice place, relaxed, but great foods, music.
So, it's not hard to get into. That's the good thing. I mean, it's just, and it's so chill. Like, I just think a lot of people don't know about it and they sleep on it. So let's keep it that way. It's so nice to not have to battle for a really good meal. Okay, so you got other ones. What were some of the highlights for you? Like, which ones did you want to bring up and share? Because you got so many good ones here.
Yeah, our favorite, or the kids' favorite, I mean, full stop, probably across the whole of Walt Disney World now, was Tusker House. They absolutely loved it. And I think we were really lucky because the day that we had an ADR for Tusker House was one of the days that the storm passed through. So we nearly didn't go because in the morning, we couldn't have gone. We were kind of confined to the hotel in the morning. But then the weather kind of broke. It cleared up. We were looking out going, do we go? Do we not go? And we decided to go. And I think we were one of maybe 4 families in the whole place. And the storm just cleared out the whole park, the whole restaurant. So I think by the end of it, we were on first name terms with all the characters because they didn't have much to do. So they were just working their way around the tables, pulling up chairs. It was good fun. And the cast members were great. I think they were pleased to have something to do as well after sort of taking a couple of days out. So it was just great. We had really good character interactions. It was really funny. The food was really good. It was a bit different. We'd never eaten there before. So I think we'll definitely go back on our next trip and maybe try breakfast instead of dinner this time.
I mean, Tusker House is great. I love it. I mean, it's a very hidden character meal, right? I mean, you got to seek it out because it's deep into Animal. For one thing, Animal Kingdom's a park that it's fourth park. People don't really think about it as much as the other 3, I think, and this restaurant is deep into the back of the park. So I think it's the most hidden character meal at Walt Disney World, like the least thought about, but it is so good because it's got a different variety of buffet food. And the characters are awesome there. And it's cool looking on the inside too. But I mean, you're right out of Hurricane with the characters. I mean, it's like the perfect storm, really the perfect storm there. You got nobody else in there. You're just going to hang out with, was Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse?
So Donald, Mickey, Goofy. I want to see Daisy as well, I think.
It's your ride out crew. I mean, that's crazy. Real quick, and we'll get back to a couple more of your dining things, but tell us about what the vibe was being at Walt Disney World, especially being from Scotland. You're not from Miami or, the Gulf Coast of the United States. The hurricane's coming. Things, obviously, rumors are swirling about how big it's going to be, what the impact is going to happen, and then it passes over and things kind of change. What was that? What was that vibe like at Walt Disney World when Hurricane Debbie came over?
Yeah, I mean, for us, not too bad because Graham and I knew that it probably wouldn't be as serious as it might have been or could have been. And the more we kept updated, we were following all the weather people that you told us to follow because you're the weather guy. So
Hurricane Charlie, that fucker scared me to death. And I love weather, but that thing was a category 2 when it went over Pop Century. And I'm like, whoo, that thing I'm like, it's like a tornado, but it lasts like 10 hours. I'm like, this is not good. That was great.
But no, we were pretty lucky. By the time it got to us, it was a tropical storm rather than a hurricane. And as far as I know, the sort of rest of the area was pretty safe and there wasn't anyone hurt or anything like that. So once we knew that was the case, it actually worked out pretty well for us. It was different for the kids. I think the kids were a little bit nervous when they started hearing the word hurricane and we got a tornado warning on our phones on one of the mornings. They were a bit sort of nervous because they'd never experienced anything like that before. But once they saw how quiet the parks were, they kind of perked up a bit. And it forced us to spend a lot of time in the resort, which was great. We were in Coronado Springs. We played Uno in Barcelona Lounge. We had some really great conversations with cast members and other guests. And then when we did make it into the parks were super, super quiet. We had a great afternoon in Epcot. We actually worked our way around World Showcase, and we had a snack in every country, and we saw all the shows. And we'd never seen any of the shows before. We'd never seen the show in Canada, France, America, none of them. So again, it forced us to do something that we probably wouldn't normally have done, and we had a great time.
I love that when something that you look at is going to be a deterrent or something as a negative can turn around into a positive, right? It gives you an opportunity to try something different, I love that attitude though, because a lot of times when you look back later on, like I would have never done that if this hadn't happened. And at the time I was like, bummer, but it's like, oh well,
exactly. Cool, and we did, but we looked at it, we went, you know what, we're from Scotland, wind and rain does not scare us. Let's get the ponchos on, let's go.
Coming in 150 miles an hour at you.
And don't get me wrong, it wasn't a serious storm, so I'm making light of it. I know it's not. It can be really serious, but we were pretty lucky with how it turned out.
So real quick, one other place I want to ask you about 1900 Park Fair, because it was just reopening not too long after you guys were there. Another character experience over the Grand Floridian. You guys like that? It was a good experience?
We loved it. Yeah, we loved it. And it was a good, again, a tip that you'd mentioned before was if you're going to be in the Magic Kingdom from rope drop, make an ADR for sort of 10:30 or 11 a.m., get out of the park. So that's why we chose that. And it was great. The food was awesome, really good for a buffet. Most buffets are good in Walt Disney World, but we thought it was really good. Good food. The character interactions were really cute. My kids are starting to age out of it just a little bit, but they really like Aladdin. They really like Mirabelle. So that was cute. Tiana, and it's so well done because she's talking about the ride and the park and have we been on it yet? And it was just nice touches, and the whole theme of it. It's all about wishes, and it's just cute. It's really cute. I think especially if you had little kids, they would really get into the theming of it. And you write your wish on a card and you give it to the characters, and it's really cute.
I love that's a great little thing to do. And I love that, just rope drop, go hard for like 2.5 hours, build up that appetite, then go crush a monorail character meal. Chef Mickey's, Ohana, 1900 Park Fair.
Yeah, we've done them all.
You guys did it. What I want to ask you about, because I don't think we've ever mentioned this place in forever, maybe Ganachery over at Disney Springs. I think only people that you might know it only from the resort TV. That lady's there. We see her, but so tell us about that experience you guys had over there.
Yeah, do you know what? It's one of those places that you would walk straight past and not even really notice. Yeah, but I had seen on, I can't even remember where, but somewhere online, about their malted chocolate chiller. Oh my, get the malted chocolate chiller. So I decided I was going to pop in and get this. So I got that. And then when you go in, they have all the cute little chocolates with Mickey on them. And it's very cute. It's very Instagrammable if you're into that sort of thing. So the kids got Mickey chocolates. I got my chocolate chiller. All was well with the world. But no, it's really cool. And you can watch them making things and they'll talk you through how they do it. And it's cute.
And I heard that I think somebody else, a guest, maybe a few months back. I don't know. I don't think we're talking about the Ganachery per se, but I think she's the lady that's in charge of the Ganachery is a famous chef that has maybe a TV show.
I remember hearing this on the podcast.
Yes, I think she's got like a TV show or she's some famous chef somewhere. And so she's outside of the resort TV thing, which Disney fans like us, if you're on the resort TV, you're a famous TV star. I think even beyond that, she is. So that's what I've heard. A couple of things I want to ask you about here. They're super interesting. Now, character interaction with your kids. You kind of mentioned that they brought the characters around while you were there, kind of to the resorts and stuff like that, which we just heard this past week. Disney announced on Wednesday that there's going to be a push coming up this summer where you're going to get to meet the characters in the the early morning hours for resort guests, and the theme park's going to have them wandering around. And some of the resorts like Pop, Art, Wilderness Lodge, and I think Caribbean Beach we talked about, they're going to have more characters at regularly scheduled times in the resort. So there's really this push for kids to meet characters, and well, adults too, I guess it doesn't matter, but they're going to have those kid zones at Epcot and the Magic Kingdom. Real push on this, but it kind of sounds like you were getting in on this last summer. You know, they were
we met lots of characters. Do you know what? I wonder if this new push to get characters out there more is because when they brought in the new system for Lightning Lanes, I don't think you can book as many character experiences through Lightning Lanes anymore. So I wonder if that's to try and backfill that. I wonder if they've had feedback around that people are having to still queue a lot for meeting characters and they're not able to book Lightning Lanes for it. But yeah, we always do pretty well with characters. The only character we didn't manage to see that we really wanted to was Mandalorian and Galaxy's Edge. We tried to wait and see Mandalorian and Grogu, but it was raining, so he wasn't coming out. But again, you would think over 14 days we would manage to do it, but it just shows you even with 14 days, there's things that you don't manage to tick off. But you just move them to your list for the next trip and try again.
Well, I mean, those two are from like a desert planet, so you know they're definitely not coming out if there's a hurricane coming. They're like, horse is not strong with that stuff. We're not playing that. But yeah, that's I love though that you guys got to have such a variety of experiences. You know, you did the best you could with all the rain, because I remember watching, because you're posting pictures in real time over the clubhouse because we got that live channel, and I love that everybody always posts their pictures, and you guys were still, I mean, God love you, your family was so cute. You know, you got on the ponchos and I'm like, God, Julie and her family are out there, man. I know there's a hurt. I mean, we're watching the news, you know, and I'm, of course I'm working travel agent. I've got people out on the cruise ships, and the cruise ships are deciding if they're going to sail, they're going to modify their itineraries. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing all that. I'm like, there's Julie and her family in Epcot, you know. I mean, you know, it's opportunity, like you say. I mean, in our mind's eye, you know, a month before the trip, 3 months before the trip, we always see ourselves, you know, riding Astro. Well, not now because Astro Orbiter's physically missing right now, but you know, when it's there, like riding Astro Orbiter at night at the Magic Kingdom with all the neon, you know, the beautiful pictures, you know, at least I do, riding People Mover, whatever it is. But like you say, sometimes when you get home a month later after the trip, your best memory might be, like you say, sitting in Barcelona Lounge on a super stormy day playing Uno. I mean, was that kind of how it was for you? Because it's not always that big,
yeah, 100%. And I think, again, because we've got that luxury of time, when those 2 days ended up not being what we thought they would be, it didn't matter. We just did other things and we enjoyed things that we maybe wouldn't have done otherwise. But I suppose if you're only there for 3 days and 2 of those days get taken out by a storm, that's a different situation. But yeah, I definitely think, and again, you guys talk about this all the time, it's what you make of it. You get in what you put out. So if things aren't working out, you turn and do something different. There's so many things to do in Walt Disney World, and I think that's a really nice thing to remember, that the cast members make it as well. So if everyone's stuck in the resort because of a storm, the cast members are going to make sure that that is a pleasant experience for people. They're going to walk around and chat. They're going to strike up conversations. They're going to do fun things with the kids. And that, I guess that's a bit of the Disney difference, isn't it? You don't get that when you go on other vacations.
Yeah, I agree. Because I've been other places like, man, how about a little happiness around this place?
Where's the joy?
let's perk this situation up if we could, please. What we can do here. One other thing I was going to ask you about, because you mentioned a girl named Phoebe that gave you the pixie dust at the Haunted Mansions. Tell us about that, because we got a wrap. And I want to give Phoebe her due here, because it sounds like she did something special.
So I think this was on the very first day of our trip, and we were in line for Haunted Mansion, and we were chatting or playing games or whatever it is we were doing to kill a bit of time. And I turned around and my littlest had a keyring in his hand. I said, "Where did you get that?" And he sort of pointed and he said, "Phoebe gave it to me." Really, we're standing in Haunted Mansion. I'm like, who the heck is Phoebe?
Is Phoebe your imaginary friend, or is
Yeah,
it
exactly. The ghost child from Haunted Mansion.
real?
And he sort of pointed, and this little girl, she sort of shyly waved at us, and I said, "Is this from you?" And she said, "Yeah." And her little face, she's like buzzing that we've noticed and that we're appreciative of it. So yeah, she'd made, it was so cute. It was like a little Haunted Mansion keyring with the hitchhiking ghosts on it, and a little card that said, "You have been pixie dusted by Phoebe, have a magical trip," or something along those lines. And it was just so nice. And again, it's a nice little interaction to have with, I always chat to people and get talking to people when we're in queues. But yeah, it was another excuse to chat to someone and find out where they're from. And
That's me too.
thank you for making their day. It was so cute.
My wife's like, you don't have to do a podcast with everybody. Like,
the classic main characters, Mike.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, but I'm a main character.
Yep. It's like, oh, that person made eye contact with me. Yes, we're in.
That's too funny. That's exactly what I was gonna say. But I'm a main character. Yes, I do have to talk to everybody in a 5-minute little mini podcast here in the line for It's a Small World. That's how it's gonna go. They saw my Sam Eagle shirt. We're gonna talk about how much I love the Muppets. That's how we roll at Walt Disney World. That's exactly it. I want to say that for the end, because as we kind of wrap this, I want to ask you one more thing. But this week, I'm going to challenge everybody: be a Phoebe. You know what I'm saying? Like, make somebody's day sometime this week. Do something unexpected. Pick up somebody's coffee at Starbucks or whatever. Just one time this week. Be a Phoebe. Phoebe did something special. We're talking about it here a few months later on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just gonna say. Be a Phoebe. Make some good and it'll just trickle down. All right. So before we get out of here today, one more memory from the trip. You guys had 14 days. You had a hurricane. You had all the fun, 2 great resorts. But give us one more story before we duck out of here. And I'm going to let you, before the sun comes up, I'm going to let you get to bed.
Yeah, because it's tomorrow now. I guess we talked about our honeymoon. So when we were on this trip, it was our 15th wedding anniversary, the last day, I think, of our trip. And the kids obviously knew it was our anniversary, and we'd been talking about it a little bit. And again, this is a nice indication of how the cast members can make things special. So when we were in Animal Kingdom one day, and we were in the big store kind of on your way out on the left-hand side, I can't remember the name of it. And the kids, as they do, disappear, and you're, gosh, where are they? And you're trying to find them, but you want to give them a bit of space to explore and have a look around, a bit of independence as well. So I'm trying to keep an eye on my eldest, and he keeps disappearing, and I can't quite keep track of him. And then I spot him. It's like, we need to go. Come on, let's go. He's like, yeah, just a minute. And I'm getting a bit frustrated. Like, what is he doing? We need to go. And then I spotted when he eventually caught up, he had a bag. So I didn't say anything and just kept quiet. And then on our anniversary, the kids, they'd clubbed together, they put their sort of pocket money together, and they'd asked a cast member to help them, and she'd help them to pick out a gift for us. Oh, wow. And they'd use their own money, and the cast member helped them. The cast member said, "Oh, why don't we put it in this big bag so that they don't see it?" And she helped them make up a story about how the water bottle had leaked, or the popcorn bucket had leaked. So the cast member gave them a bag to put it in, but actually it had the gift in it. It was just so cute. And I thought, a cast member's obviously spotted them trying to do this, and she stepped in and helped, and it was just cute and nice. So yeah.
How cute is that for your kids? And I mean,
I know.
It sounds like they wrap their presents just about like I do too, and beautiful.
Yeah, and a big Disney bag. That's good enough for me.
I love it. That is so sweet of them. And
I know,
you got good kids. I mean, that sounds like wonderful. I mean, it's to take, because they're Walt Disney World, they're having a good time, and most kids is worried about, what's the next ride going to be, but they're worried about you guys having something special on your special day. That is, shout out to your boys. That is awesome.
Yes.
That is cool. For them. I like that. Well, hey, Julie, thanks for staying up late with us. What a great way to start the week. So many laughs and so many great memories. Everybody, I mean, really, this is a great show to kind of get the week, get the right mindset to go in a week, and appreciate it so much. And again, thanks for everything you do over in the clubhouse, because you make it fun every day, and just glad to have you part of the community.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us. We love being part of it, and we really appreciate everyone in there. It's good to have people to bounce this stuff off of every day.
I love that our community is worldwide. It is so fun. All right. We are going to duck out of here. Don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you get to your next Disney destination, whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, even Adventures by Disney. You can check out all the details today. It's no additional cost each and every trip. Just check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports us each and every time you use the link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are our all-stars. You make all this possible. We could not do this without your support. Just $5 a month. It's just like a cup of coffee every month. And for that support, get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Now, we talk about this clubhouse all throughout the show. It's our Discord server. It's like a message board, live chat area. It is so much fun. We talk about life. We talk about all the Disney stuff, the resorts, the theme parks, the dining. We have a live channel for people that are there right now, posting their pictures live. If you're a Disney fan, you need to be there. It's free. It's there for everybody. Coming over today, it's beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. You can follow me on the social media at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And we'll have a live call-in show this Sunday night. Join me at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, and Twitch. And give me a call, and we'll talk Disney on Sunday night. All right. So until we get back together again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions, we are going to duck out for now. So for Julie, who stayed up way too late over in Scotland, but we sure appreciate it. I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom. That was awesome. That was so much fun.
Good. Yes, I loved it.
Oh, thank you for doing that. Yeah, that was just a ton of fun. When you said the main character, you beat me to it. I was like, that's exactly what I was going to say. That was hilarious. And now I got this stupid. Do you guys have? Oh, because you probably don't have this, but on Fox, on our Fox channel, we have a show called The Masked Singer. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This show is so dumb because I had the news on, and the news ended halfway through the podcast. Now there's like this dancing. I don't even know, like a dog, like. That show is so dumb. So
that is weird. Yeah, we do have it here. I don't watch it, but I know what you mean.
So I look up, but I'm doing that ad thing at the end, right at the end. I'm closing out, that pops up on the TV, and there's a stupid 6-foot dog with sunglasses on dancing around. I'm just like,
coming from the Disney fan, that's pretty rich.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Dude. This is over the top. I mean, this is why I only watch sports. I can't even watch TV anymore because that is like Nick Cannon or Nick, whatever his name is, standing next to some dog with sunglasses and a microphone. You can watch this stuff. And my wife's probably watching it upstairs. I guarantee you, when I go upstairs, she's probably watching this. Anyway, well, hey, I appreciate the time. Tell your family thank you for being a part of this indirectly, and I will catch you over in the clubhouse.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mike. Take care.
See you later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.